How exactly does our mental state influence our physical health? As a chiropractic acupuncturist and integrative nutritionist, I see it every day, all day long, year after year. I see how our mental state affects our health. And it's not something to take lightly. Now, this idea of holistic healthcare and the mind-body connection, it's gained a little more popularity through the recent years, but it's not a new concept. Holistic health doesn't address just specific symptoms or diseases. It emphasizes an interconnectedness of various aspects of health. The goal is to help you find balance and harmony in all areas of life. We'll talk more about how the mind and the body are connected and just how mental and emotional states can actually influence your physical health. But holistic care itself is really about taking a personal responsibility to your health, taking an active role, not just relying on somebody in a white coat somewhere to tell you about your health. I have lost track of the number of people that feel like their issues have just been dismissed. They're told that it's all in their head, even though they still know that something isn't right. I really feel that while our society today has brought with it some amazing advancements, tools that have made our lives easier and have definitely helped us out for the better, it's also made some other things way more difficult for us. Especially here, at least in the US, it has been a fast-paced, climb the ladder as fast as you possibly can, don't look back society. You're not successful unless you go to bed crying on a regular basis because you've pushed yourself to exhaustion. I think under the notion of what success looks like, individuals who were not wired that way are taking a huge hit. That's why I'm personally not a fan of some of these books that have been written in the past few years on how to make billions of dollars and be successful, all by getting up at 4 a.m. and having a laundry list of things to accomplish and, checking all of those things off. Because while that is great for some people, those books wouldn't do well if there weren't people that benefited from those processes. You also end up with individuals that feel like they're a failure because they get up at 4 a.m., they do the checklist, and then they are completely depleted emotionally, or worse, they fall down a deep hole because they're neurodivergent, or they deal with ADHD, or they're on the autism spectrum, and no one has really told them or worked with them as to what would be beneficial for them and the way that their brain works. Acknowledging the importance of emotional well-being and spiritual fulfillment is an essential component of overall health, especially when it comes to holistic health. Now, holistic health will also look at utilizing more natural therapies and treatments like herbal remedies, chiropractic, acupuncture, mindfulness practices, but it doesn't mean that it is completely going to dismiss more modern day conventional medicine. I work with a lot of people in which conditions are co-managed. It's about recognizing that we are not compartmentalized beings. Everything works together, and only an extremely small percentage of people are born with incorrect coding. There is something wrong within the DNA, but those situations are only about 5 to 8%. Now, another 5% or so are the individuals that have experienced a traumatic injury. They've been in a horrible car accident, a boating accident, they've survived a drowning, hypothermia, something that has caused damage to their system. These are individuals that have had certain bodily systems damaged beyond repair. Everything else is due to lifestyle choices. This can really rub some people wrong. I get it. Because you say, well, I grew up poor. We couldn't afford good food. We couldn't afford to have personal trainers or all of this education. Yes, I get it. I am not telling you to beat yourself up about it. I am saying this as a positive thing. If issues are coming up because of lifestyle choices, then yay! That means you can do something about it. You can immediately start to make different choices on a daily basis and change your health. Isn't that great news? So how exactly is our physical health affected by our mental health? Let's take cortisol as an example. So cortisol is a steroid hormone that's produced by the adrenal glands. It's often referred to as a stress hormone because of its involvement in the body's response to stress. Now that stress can be physical, something like intense exercise, to a big injury like a car accident or an illness. Our levels do normally fluctuate throughout the day, a little higher in the mornings, should decline in the evening, but emotional stressors like anxiety, fear, those major life changes, that will all stimulate cortisol production. Our fast-paced, crazy, nonstop lifestyles will also encourage upticks in cortisol production, which can end up influencing our circadian rhythms, messing with those normal cycles of what we should be having. Now with this, it can throw off a whole host of other things as well. So a gland called the hypothalamus kickstarts the process. It is going to send a signal to the pituitary gland. And then there's a hormone from there that is released to stimulate the adrenals to release the cortisol. So you can see, it's not just this simple direct process. And when we start talking about hormones and the regulation of them in our body, it can get kind of complicated pretty fast. Cortisol can influence metabolism, our immune response, blood sugar levels, blood pressure, and just how we respond to stressful situations. If we're taxing our adrenals all the time with crazy lifestyle, poor food choices, little sleep, not just our adrenals, but all those other glands along the way, aren't going to be operating at their peak performance either. And that's where we start to see issues with high blood pressure. There's weight gain, especially in the abdominal area. We get sleep disturbances like frequent waking. You're sleepy in the morning, but then you're wired at night. You can see an increase in anxiety and depression. Over time, that will contribute to significant metabolic issues like insulin resistance and type 2 diabetes. Cortisol plays a pretty important role. And if we are going against the grain, against who we are, how we function, what we love, not listening to our body and what it needs when it needs it, and we just keep pushing through because, well, that's what society has told us to do, eventually, our body will just have it with us. It will start to rebel. And chronically high cortisol levels is just one way in which it can do it. So your high blood pressure isn't necessarily because it's genetic. Like, maybe everyone in your family has had bad habits, so that's why everyone has blood pressure issues. It's not a lack of blood pressure medication. Are you a science nerd? There's several studies that show the mind-body connection. The Journal of Psychosomatic Research has shown some great studies that actually show how mindfulness-based interventions improve not just mental, but also the physical health outcomes. There are lots of studies that show the connection between gut health and brain health. I remember when that information was first coming out to mainstream, and wow, it was like I was some kind of cuckoo for talking about it. Now everyone is like, oh yeah, better gut means better brain. Like, oh, now I'm an idiot for mentioning it because everybody already knows about that. Like, it's so obvious. I can't win. But for years, there was this misconception that mental and physical health were always separate entities. You are not this compartmentalized mechanical machine. You are an amazing human being that is incredibly complex. There are so many layers to you. Now, can a change in physical structure also influence mental health? Of course. You're in a severe accident and life has changed for you, like, you bet. But I'm not talking about the exceptions to the rules, the outliers. I love when I start talking to people about these things and they want to bring up certain situations like, oh, well, my cousin's best friend's sister had that issue and they were told they can't do anything about it. Come to find out they're in an extreme accident or there were a lot of other factors at play. That is not the normal. That is not what is the most common. In school, we were always taught to look for horses, not zebras, when it came to a diagnosis. Are there rare conditions that come up? Yes, but there's a reason why they are a rarity or a zebra, not a horse. Most things are horses, the most common issues, with the most common causes. Don't deep dive into WebMD, just start with the basics. Look for those horses, not the zebras. Regular exercise, movement. You don't even have to have a specialized program. Just some movement on a daily basis is important. You don't have to become a marathon runner or start up CrossFit. Just don't sit at a desk all day long and then move from the desk to the couch. Get moving. Your body was meant to move. Movement is fuel. Your intake, whether it's dietary, environmental, mental, mindfulness practice, that is all important for the management of your overall health. Now, children can experience these issues just like adults, and from my experience, kids don't really grow out of things. They grow into them. In other words, it's not that it suddenly goes away. It's that their system learns how to adapt to it. And it may work fine for a long time, like years. But then it can rear its ugly head in a different way further down the road. Many things get labeled as common, such as digestive issues. But just because it's common doesn't mean that's normal. But kids who deal with digestive issues as they get older, they are the ones that come in, and when I ask them about their irritable bowel or their constipation issues, they say, oh, I've just had that my whole life. It's just what I deal with. They're normal. That, my friend, is not normal. You should not be having digestive issues on a regular basis. Now, if you go out and you party all night and eat a whole bunch of junk food, then yeah, you might have some digestive discomfort the next day. But that shouldn't be built into your daily life as you get older. What do? Where do we even begin to start with all of this? First of all, have a community. Jim Rohn said, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. If those people sit on the couch all day, eat potato chips for each meal, drink lots of beer every day, never exercise, take medication after medication, they watch junk TV shows, and spend hours on the scroll hole of social media, you will do the same. And pretty soon, y'all will start dealing with similar issues. If you are wanting to change your life, change your habits, and your health, you have to have a community that supports you in the right way. If you try to make significant changes when you're in that couch potato society, they will laugh at you. They will tell you that it is pointless, it is worthless, and you have no control over those things. But spend time surrounded by people that do believe in you, that do believe you can make these changes and see results. You will be able to then make those changes and have a positive impact on your health and life. Now, the Holistic Life Tribe is just that. We have tools and tips and tricks for mindfulness, understanding nutrition and supplements, and stretches and exercises. But most importantly, there is the community of support where everyone uplifts everyone else. And if it's not with our tribe, then find one. Look at local wellness workshops, other online forums. Don't just post once on social media and expect people to be constantly flooding onto your page. because you're going to find haters there too. So be careful who you choose to hang out with. Now, what are some practical applications you can do right now when it comes to the mind-body connection? Realize that it comes in different pieces. So mindfulness, the physical activity, nutrition, all of it is going to work together. Now, my personal favorite is sound baths. Sound baths with some guided meditation. I do love that. Other techniques like yoga, especially yin yoga or deep breathing exercises, are also wonderful for regulating the nervous system. We've talked about movement, some kind of physical activity. Doesn't have to be a big program. You don't have to be a CrossFitter. Just get moving. Pick something you find interesting. If yoga isn't your thing, try Pilates, maybe a spin class, a salsa class, or just go for a 30-minute walk. Your diet and mental health are connected so deep. It's not just about trying to avoid processed foods, or as I call it, processed goodness, because it's so good. But increase the good stuff, the good fats, the omega-3s, and you don't have to get the nasty fish oil supplements that you burp up the rest of the day. Company ASEA, that makes some great products. They also have a wonderful option. Standard Process has a tuna-based omega that is great as well. You can also consider adding in coconut oil for brain health. That was even shown to have benefits in dementia patients. A tablespoon of raw organic coconut oil a day. A good probiotic, one that will reach your gut. You don't just want billions of units of a single bug. You want a big variety of different bugs. You need something that will survive your stomach and get all the way to your gut. Certain foods like sauerkraut, there's kombucha, those things are beneficial, but you need to make sure that you're getting enough of it to really benefit you. For example, don't rely on a little thing of yogurt every day, because most of those brands, to actually get the amount of probiotics that you really need, you would have to consume multiple yogurts in order to get that proper probiotic amount. But the problem is they've added sugar to it. So in order to get the right amount of probiotics, you would end up being way over in your sugar content for the day. So be careful with relying on yogurt.
Piquing your interest? Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the little bell to get notified when new videos are available.
The important thing is that you choose things that are sustainable for you and your lifestyle. Most of us aren't a quit cold turkey kind of a person. We do it, it lasts for a few days, and then we fall back into our old habits. It's like every New Year's resolution, right? Pick just a couple things to start implementing. Don't feel like you have to stop a bunch of things all at once, things that you have been doing for years, because you will end up sabotaging yourself. I know we get into this mindset of, okay, starting tomorrow I am going to change my life. I will go to bed tonight and I will wake up in the morning and I will eat healthier and I will exercise and I will have all of these habits magically appear. Except we've had all these other habits that we've been doing for years, and for some reason we think that we're going to suddenly wake up a completely different person in the morning. You want to talk about doing damage to your mental health? Like, that's a great way to do it. Integrate little things each week. Give yourself grace. Give yourself time, positive change, and reinforcement, okay? Be kind to yourself. Make sure that you are getting sleep, good sleep as well. Develop an appropriate bedtime routine. I really fell out of this habit big time. I used to wind down, read, relax, no overhead lights, calming music. Then the smartphone came along and really tried to ruin all of that. You want to try to maintain a consistent sleep schedule. Going to bed and getting up at the same time. Limit flip-flopping your days. So if you are someone that has to work nights, stay on your nightly schedule, even on your days off. Avoid heavy meals, alcohol, caffeine, all of that close to bedtime. Might seem like a no-brainer on the caffeine, but alcohol can have the same effect when it comes to interrupting quality sleep. Opt for a really light snack if you're hungry. Avoid those simple carbohydrate foods. I get it. I am a #1 sweet tooth here, so I really have to work on opting for more natural sugars like fruit if you're wanting something sweet right before bed. Doing something like grapes or watermelon rather than a chocolate cookie will make a difference. Make sure you are also getting plenty of real light during the day, not just light from your computer or the awful fluorescent lights. Get outside, get some sunshine. Even up north in the cold winter, go stare out a window or hang out in your car. Even if you can't expose a bunch of skin for your vitamin D, at least get your brain to recognize when it's light outside and help it to regulate that sleep-wake cycle. In turn, avoid those big overhead lights in the evenings when you get home. Keep it really low lighting. Use table lamps, some candles, avoid the bright lights, and limit that screen time. Again, if you're looking for a step-by-step guide, check out our Holistic Life Tribe or find a local holistic practitioner like an acupuncturist or an herbalist or a chiropractor, one that will walk you through it. Now, not all practitioners are created equal. Techniques and philosophies can vary, just like in any profession, but especially in the wellness professions. Ask if the chiropractor or the acupuncturist, if they are holistically based. Ask if they review nutrition or if they have someone they recommend for that. Ask if they provide you with additional tools or if they focus on just one area of expertise. For example, not all chiropractors are like myself. Not all chiropractors will review nutrition and lifestyle changes with you. Some will only do the adjustment, and then they have someone else that they will refer you to for those other services. So just keep that in mind when you are looking for someone. If you want that one-stop shop, then make sure you're asking those questions and searching their website. And don't forget, if you love this content, be sure to subscribe for our next release. See you again soon.